In exchange for sanctuary, she offered all she had, but the wounded rancher provided her with a dwelling and possibilities beyond her wildest imagination. Willow Creek, Wyoming Territory, December 1881. Winter winds screamed through the main thoroughfare like an injured animal, pulling snow flurries behind them and hurling the frozen particles against boarded windows and crooked storefronts throughout the settlement. Oil lamps wavered behind ice-glazed panes, creating dancing circles of illumination on the solid earth. Hidden in the narrow passage next to Mallister's drinking establishment, Anna Harlow flattened herself against the brick surface. Clutching her sides with both arms, her mouth was parched and split, her digits rigid from the bitter cold, and the delicate wrap draped over her frame provided no protection against the freeze that had penetrated to her very core. 72 hours without sustenance. 4 evenings seeking refuge beneath steps and within stables anywhere offering even minimal protection from the elements. Her belly contracted painfully at the aroma of meat broth floating from the tavern. Luxurious, heated, mocking, she tightened her jaw and gazed downward, attempting to suppress the gnawing hunger. The establishment's entrance burst apart with a rush of heated air and boisterous merriment. A pair of men lurched into the white powder, their exhalations creating clouds in the bitter atmosphere. One halted, peering toward the narrow alley. What have we discovered here? Amos Kane's speech was heavy with alcohol and malice. He advanced toward her, his footwear creating sounds in the frozen precipitation. Little Dove all by herself in the freeze, Anna pressed backward, the masonry scraping her backbone. Please leave me alone. He displayed a wicked smile, revealing discolored teeth. Now that's hardly welcoming. I've got quarters above. The hearth burns warm, the mattress is comfortable. Come upstairs with me, and I'll ensure you receive dinner. I refused, she murmured, her voice wavering. Are you certain? Amos's gaze became cruel and piercing. There's nowhere else for you to turn? Stop acting superior to your circumstances. I've heard the gossip about you. People spread stories. He reached toward her limb. Release me. She declared more forcefully, pulling away. Don't act foolishly. It's a reasonable exchange? Lodging and meals for some pleasant company. The woman declined. The statement sliced through the snowfall like steel, low, unwavering, controlled. From the darkness emerged a figure, towering and powerfully built. A broad hat covered in snow, his long coat billowing in the breeze. The mark running down his left face caught the lantern glow, a faded stripe against sun-weathered skin. His gaze was cold gray, steady. Amos pivoted. This doesn't concern you, outsider. It concerns me now. The man's tone remained level, carried no threats, yet needed none. Amos puffed himself up. You're unaware of her identity. I understand her current situation. Frozen, starving, and being bothered by someone who refuses to accept rejection. Are you questioning my honesty? I'm suggesting you should depart. A tense moment elapsed. Amos's palm hovered near the weapon at his waist. Then he scoffed and expelled saliva into the snow. She's worthless anyway. He turned and stumbled toward the saloon. Grumbling curses, Anna collapsed against the wall, her limbs nearly failing her. The stranger faced her, evaluating with silent worry. You're unwell, he observed. I'm perfectly fine, she fibbed. When did you last consume food? She averted her gaze. Without speaking, he removed his thick coat and placed it around her frame. It carried the scent of horse leather and burning wood. Heat flooded through her body so rapidly it nearly brought tears. Why? What makes you want to help me? She inquired, because someone ought to. He extended a gloved palm. I'm Jacob Thornton. I operate a ranch beyond town. Anna Harlow, I realize folks have been discussing me, but I observe people myself. I've witnessed you seeking legitimate employment, seen you refuse men like Amos. Your meaning? My meaning is I require someone for cooking, cleaning, maintaining the household. It's not luxurious, but it's honorable. Room, board, payment. She studied him intently. What's hidden? Nothing hidden, simply work. And perhaps an opportunity for a fresh beginning. Snow descended quietly around them. Anna's fingers grasped the coat more tightly. You place faith in strangers so readily? She questioned. Not typically, Jacob answered. But you don't seem like someone who would misrepresent her condition. You're hungry, yes, she breathed. Then let's provide you with nourishment. He led her toward the wagon positioned at the street's end. She paused, then climbed aboard. As he snapped the leather straps and they rolled into the tempest, Anna glanced back once at the tavern's dim glow. She had exchanged her dignity for survival, but instinct suggested perhaps this time she might be trading it for something greater. The snowfall intensified, silencing the wagon wheel sounds as Anna sat alongside Jacob Thornton on the narrow seat. She clutched his coat closer around her frame, steadying herself against each bump in the frozen path. The quietness between them stretched long and uncomfortable. She observed him, his jaw firm, reins secure in his grasp, snow accumulating on his hat's edge. He hadn't spoken since departing town, except to assist her into the wagon. Anna interrupted the silence. How distant is your ranch? 2 hours in fair weather. Might require longer this evening. The horses exhaled heavily, breath ascending in dense clouds. She massaged her stiff fingers. Do you reside alone? For some time now. No spouse? No, his responses were brief but not unfriendly. Still, she didn't trust easily. Experience taught her men expected something in return. What type of work do you need? Cooking, cleaning, keeping the place functioning. That's everything. That's everything. She examined his profile. No hunger in his expression. No slick charm. Just quiet reliability. It disturbed her more than anything. You mentioned it's large. Larger than most. My grandfather established it. My father expanded it. I'm simply trying to maintain it. Silence returned. Anna gazed out at the enormity. Snow-covered hills, bare trees, mountains standing, sentinel in the distance. I didn't anticipate so much open space, she murmured. Most people don't. Wyoming has plenty. They reached a ridge, and the landscape opened to reveal the ranch. A 2-level house with a sloping porch, a barn tilting slightly, and several snow-blanketed outbuildings. Smoke drifted faintly from the chimney. That belongs to you? Jacob nodded. Requires maintenance, but it's sturdy. He guided the wagon to the porch and dismounted. When he helped her down, his touch was warm and steady. She flinched, but he stepped back, allowing her space. Inside. The house was chilly, but not vacant. Dust remained and the furnishings were worn, but signs of life existed. Pictures on the fireplace, boots near the entrance, a blanket folded carefully on a chair. Your room is upstairs. Second entrance on the right. She climbed slowly. The chamber was modest but tidy. A single bed, a wooden trunk, and a window overlooking the mountains. A handcrafted quilt covered the bed in gentle, faded hues. Anna sat on the edge, running her fingers along the needlework. It had been ages since she'd had a room with a door she could secure. Below, she heard the fires crackling. The coffee's aroma soon followed. When she descended, Jacob handed her a cup and slid a plate across the table. Bread, butter, cold meat. Simple, but genuine. Her hands shook as she accepted the cup. The warmth almost overwhelming. You didn't need to do this, she said. Perhaps not. But I chose to. They dined in silence. And for once she didn't feel compelled to justify herself. Afterward, Jacob reclined. There's something I should mention. Town folks will gossip about you being here, about me being unmarried. Anna's spine stiffened. I expected they'd whisper, claim you're exchanging favors for shelter, she swallowed. They already do, he met her eyes. Whatever they claim, it doesn't alter anything here. This is your home now. For however long you desire it. Home. The word resonated within her like a long-forgotten chime. She looked down. You don't understand what I've done. What might pursue me? Jacob's voice was gentle. I don't need to. I know you required help. I know you accepted when you could have refused. That's sufficient, the wind wailed outside. But inside, for the first time in ages, Anna felt something awaken deep in her chest. Hope. Life at the Thornton Ranch fell into a pattern. Each dawn, Anna woke before sunrise, wrapped herself in the thick shawl Jacob had provided, and ignited the kitchen stove. She cleaned the floors, washed plates, and attempted basic meals. Oatmeal, cooked eggs, strong coffee, but on the third morning, while preparing bacon and eggs, the skillet hissed and spattered. Her sleeve brushed the stove's side and ignited. She cried out, stumbling backward. The door burst open. Jacob rushed in, seized the water pail by the hearth, and doused her. The flames died, leaving her drenched and trembling on the kitchen floor. I apologize, she whispered, breathing shakily. I can't even prepare breakfast. Jacob knelt beside her, his voice low. You're learning. That stove's temperamental. Just requires time. He offered her a towel. No criticism, no judgment. Over the following hour, he demonstrated how to interpret the flames, adjust the vents, and locate the stove's heated areas. His voice remained calm, his hands steady as they guided hers. Anna observed him carefully, not just the instruction, but how he moved, spoke, taught. Every action was respectful, intentional. He treated her with patience that unsettled her more than cruelty ever had. That evening, she returned to her room and discovered a package wrapped in brown paper atop her quilt. Inside were 2 pairs of wool stockings, a heavier shawl, and a note in Jacob's handwriting. Thought you might require these with the cold approaching. Days later, when the sugar depleted, she found a jar of honey placed neatly in the pantry. On the table near the window, a collection of books had appeared, worn novels, a thin poetry volume, and a travel journal with pressed flowers between pages. He never acknowledged them, but each gift spoke louder than words. Jacob expressed gratitude after every meal, even the burned ones. He always cleaned his boots before entering. Quietly, without asking, he repaired the creaking stair, the loose hinge on her window, the broken drawer in the kitchen. One evening after supper, Anna wandered to the barn and found him kneeling beside a calf, wrapping its leg in a salve-soaked cloth. You're skilled with them, she said. Jacob glanced up. Animals don't deceive. They tell you their needs and they don't judge. She stepped closer, drawn by something unspoken. The way he spoke to the calf low, kind, made something in her chest tighten. She hadn't known gentleness could appear like this. Later that week, while dusting the parlor, she found a photograph tucked behind a row of books. A young woman with bright eyes and dark curls leaned into a younger Jacob. Both smiled as if they believed the world would always be kind. She had just picked it up when his voice came from the doorway. Her name was Lavra. She turned quickly. I apologize, I wasn't trying to intrude. It's acceptable. He stepped in, his expression unreadable. I placed it there so I wouldn't see it daily. But I couldn't hide her completely. She was beautiful. She was, he said quietly, taking the photo from her hands. We were going to wed. She died the winter before fever. Anna said nothing. There was nothing to say. She believed in second chances, Jacob added. She thought no one should be judged by their worst mistake. Anna studied him. The scar, the steadiness, the quiet grief behind his eyes. She must have loved you deeply, she said. She did. He placed the photo back on the mantel. And I think she would have approved of you. The words landed like a tremor in Anna's chest. She wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe someone like her could be known and still be wanted. That night, when she returned to her room, she didn't look away from the photograph on the mantel. She let its presence linger. For once, she didn't feel like an intruder. She felt welcome. The morning sun gleamed off the snow-covered fields, but the cold still bit sharp as ever. Anna was drying the breakfast dishes when she heard wagon wheels crunching into the yard. She glanced through the window and saw Jacob returning from town, his face shadowed beneath his hat. There was a tension in his shoulders she recognized immediately. Trouble. He entered, stomping snow from his boots. We need to discuss something, he said quietly. Anna set the towel down. What is it? A man's been inquiring around town. Well-dressed, claimed his name was Victor Harlow. Her breath caught. The name twisted like a blade in her stomach. Claimed he's your brother. She turned away, gripping the sink's edge. He found me. Didn't sound like a worried family member, Jacob said. Bill at the general store said the man was asking questions. Wanted to know if anyone had spotted you. Said there was family business that required settling. Anna remained silent for a long moment. He's not here because he misses me, she said finally. Victor never does anything that doesn't benefit him, Jacob crossed his arms. What does he want? To silence me. Jacob's brow furrowed, but he didn't interrupt. 3 years ago, Victor was courting the daughter of one of Father's business partners. Emily was just 17. Sweet girl. Trusted him. Her voice grew quieter. One night something occurred. He took advantage of her. He harmed her. Her family departed town the next day. No explanation, just gone. But I saw the bruises. I knew what he did. She met Jacob's gaze, her own steady. I told Father, but Victor had already spun his lies. Sighed. Emily was hysterical, unstable. He convinced Father that I was trying to sabotage him out of jealousy or spite. Jacob's jaw clenched. And now? Victor knows I could ruin him if I spoke to the right people, judges, business associates, society types. His entire reputation would crumble. He's not here to bring me home. He's here to ensure I never speak. Jacob nodded slowly. Then he'll find me standing in his way. Anna looked at him, her heart tightening. I don't want you caught in this, she said. I already am. They were still, standing in the kitchen when the sound of hooves broke through the quiet. Anna stepped to the window. A lone rider approached the house, his coat immaculate, his posture too perfect to be anything but practiced. Even from a distance, she recognized the way he carried himself. Victor Harlow. He dismounted smoothly, tied the reins to the porch rail, and looked up at the house with a smug expression. Jacob moved to the door, but Anna stopped him. I'll speak to him. I'll be right behind you, he said. They stepped onto the porch together. Victor smiled at the sight of her. Double quote. Well, there you are, little sister. You've certainly made yourself comfortable. Victor, I must say. I expected something less civilized, but this, he gestured to the house, is almost respectable. What do you want? She asked. To bring you home, of course. His voice was syrupy, each word oozing false concern. Father has been beside himself. Father disowned me. Or did you forget? Victor's smile tightened. That was before he heard your side. I'm sure if you came back and made amends. I'm not going back. Victor's eyes flicked to Jacob. And I suppose this cowboy has something to do with your sudden defiance. Jacob stepped forward. She's not property. She makes her own choices. Victor's expression hardened. You think she told you the truth? You think she's some wronged girl just trying to survive? Ask her about what she did in Laramie. Ask about the scandal with Jonathan Webb. Anna's stomach turned. That's not your story to twist. Oh, but it is, Victor said smoothly. See, it's your word against mine, dear sister, and you're already running from one mess. How many more before this man here realizes what you are? Jacob's voice was calm, but edged with steel. She doesn't owe you anything. You're not welcome here, Victor's gaze sharpened. Careful, Thornton. You think this ends with a warning? I always finish what I start, then start walking. Jacob said. Victor's eyes lingered on Anna, a flash of something dangerous passing through them. This isn't over. He turned, mounted his horse, and rode away, the wind swallowing the sound of hooves. Anna stood frozen on the porch, her heart racing, cold despite the sun. He's not done, she said softly. Jacob placed a steady hand on her back. Neither are we. The wind had stilled, but the cold cut sharper than ever. Snow crunched under Victor Harlow's polished boots as he approached the porch, a folded paper in one gloved hand. Two men watched from the gate, immaculate in dark coats and gloves. He radiated confidence. Anna and Jacob stepped outside to meet him. Victor raised the paper. Anna Harlow, by authority of Sheriff Lom, I'm placing you under arrest. Theft $200 from your father's store. Jacob's voice was flat. Let me see the warrant. Victor gave a smug smile. This is family business. Stay out of it. Jacob didn't move. Warrant. Victor slid the paper back into his coat. The sheriff will sort it when she's returned. I didn't steal anything, Anna said. Victor spread his arms. You vanished the same night the money did? People will draw conclusions. You forged that document. Anna said, I don't need to forge anything, Victor said coolly. People just need a reason to question you, like Samuel Reed. Anna stiffened. Victor turned to Jacob. Did she tell you about him? The man who paid her when she was 17? That's enough, Anna snapped. She took his money, meals, clothes, little gifts until she refused to give what he wanted most. Jacob looked at her. "I was 17, she said. "I thought he cared." Victor's smirk deepened. "But she took the money. Same as with father. It's a pattern." "Leave," Jacob said, stepping forward. Victor's hand moved fast. Too fast. In a blink, he had a pistol aimed at Anna. "She's coming with me," he growled. "In the wagon or in a box?" Time slowed. Jacob launched forward, tackling Victor to the ground. The gun flew into the snow. They grappled violently until Victor yanked a blade from his boot and slashed. Jacob gasped as the knife grazed his arm, blood soaking his sleeve. "Stop!" Anna screamed, diving for the pistol near the porch. She pointed it, hands shaking. "Victor, let him go." The blade hovered above Jacob's throat. "Do it!" she shouted. "I'll shoot." Victor froze, chest heaving. "You don't have the nerve. Try me," Anna said. "One more step and I end this." Jacob seized the moment to shove Victor away. They rolled apart, blood painting the snow. Victor stood, panting and furious. "This changes nothing," he hissed. Anna steadied the gun. "I know what you've done. The missing funds, the forged contracts, the land stolen in father's name." Victor paled. "You're bluffing. I watched you. I remember every deal you thought no one noticed." He looked toward his men at the gate, then back at her. "No one will believe you. You're a runaway with a ruined name." "I believe her," Jacob said, now on his feet, blood on his sleeve. He moved beside Anna. She was a child. Someone used her trust. That makes her a victim, not a criminal. "You don't get to define her." Anna's hand steadied. Something in her heart locked into place. "Leave," she said. Victor hesitated. "If you ever come near me again, I'll tell everyone and I won't be alone." Victor's lips curled. "You'll regret this." "No," she said. "Not anymore." He stepped back, brushed snow from his coat, and turned. Without another word, he mounted his horse and disappeared into the trees. His men following, Anna lowered the gun, breath uneven. Jacob looked at her. "You're shaking. You're bleeding," she replied. He gave a faint grin. "You should see the other guy." She laughed, raw and shaky, but real. And for the first time she felt tall. Not because of the weapon in her hand, because someone finally believed she was worth. Standing beside, the snow had begun to melt around the edges of the Thornton Ranch, but inside the air felt heavier than any winter storm. A knock came just after sunrise. Jacob stepped outside to retrieve the telegram, and when he read it, his face darkened. Anna, standing by the stove, felt dread coil in her stomach. "What is it?" He handed her the yellow paper from the sheriff's office in Cheyenne. Her eyes scanned the words and blood drained from her face. Victor had filed formal charges. He now claimed she had stolen $500, more than double the original accusation. 3 witnesses had signed sworn affidavits claiming to have seen her take the money from her father's store. Anna sank onto a chair. "He's escalating. He knows I'm not running. So now he's trying to bury me." Jacob crouched beside her. "He's bluffing." "No," she whispered. "He's building a noose with forged rope and daring me to call it false. And people are going to believe it. We'll fight it." "With what?" "Victor has money, lawyers, connections. I have a past people whisper about and a brother who wants to see me disappear. You have me," Jacob said. She shook her head. "I can't let you destroy your life over this. If he drags you into this, he'll ruin you too." Jacob stood slowly, took her hands in his, and met her eyes. "I love you." The words came without hesitation, quiet but clear. "I didn't expect it," he continued. "Didn't want it even, but it's the truth. I love you, Anna Harlow." Tears stung her eyes. "You can't," he smiled faintly. "Too late for that." She looked away. "If you knew everything about me, what I've done, what I've survived, you wouldn't say that." "I know enough." "I know you're brave. I know you're kind. I know you cook better than I do, even if the stove hates you. I know that this house became a home the day you walked through the door." Her breath hitched, and for a moment she let herself believe it was possible to be seen truly. Sinan still loved, but the moment shattered. with the pounding of hooves and the crunch of boots in snow. Jacob moved quickly to the porch. Sheriff Lom stood with two deputies, all three solemn beneath the brims of their hats. The sheriff held a folded paper in one hand. "Miss Harlow," he said, "I'm afraid I have to take you into custody." Anna stepped outside, chin lifted. "On what charges?" "Theft and fraud," Lom said. "And fleeing prosecution. I have a warrant signed by the territorial judge himself." Jacob stepped between them. "Let me see it." The sheriff handed it over. Jacob scanned the lines, frowning. "This says $500. New evidence came in," Lom said. "Apparently, Miss Harlow's crime was more extensive than first believed." Anna's hands balled into fists. "That's a lie." "Then prove it," the sheriff said. "But you'll need to do it in Cheyenne?" Jacob's voice was calm. "She has the right to contact the judge." Lom hesitated. "Technically, yes." Anna looked to Jacob. "Judge Whitaker. He knows our family. His niece was," her voice caught. "Emily." Jacob's eyes widened. "The girl Victor hurt," Anna nodded. "He'll listen." Jacob turned to the sheriff. "Let us send one telegram." "That's all we ask." The sheriff sighed. "Fine, but I can't wait long." "You have until tomorrow morning." "I'll ride into town myself," Jacob said. "I'll send it within the hour." Anna stood on the porch watching Jacob prepare his horse. "What if he doesn't answer?" "Then we'll figure out what comes next together." She nodded, then stepped forward and pressed her hand to his chest. "You meant what you said?" Jacob looked down at her. "Every word." Then he rode toward town, the telegram burning a hole in his coat pocket, carrying her last hope on the strength of a simple message. "Investigate Victor Harlow. Ask about Emily. Truth matters more than blood." The morning air was still, the sky pale gray as sunlight broke over the mountains. Jacob stood on the porch, reading a yellow telegram. His eyes moved quickly across the lines before he stepped back inside. Anna looked up from the table where she had sat most of the night waiting. "Well?" she asked, her voice rough from exhaustion. Jacob held out the telegram. "It's from Judge Whitaker." She unfolded it with shaking hands. "Victor Harlow under investigation for fraud and possible involvement in Emily Rollins' death. Federal inquiry underway. Charges against Anna Harlow under review. Federal Marshal Enrote. Hold position." Anna stared at the words, her breath catching. "He believed me." Jacob knelt beside her. "Of course he did. Then maybe I have a chance." "You always did," he said softly. Midday. Marshal Evans arrived, a tall man in a dark coat dusted with snow. His two deputies remained outside while he stepped into the parlor. A worn notebook in hand. "Miss Harlow," he said, tipping his hat. "I was sent by Judge Whitaker to begin a formal investigation. I need you to tell me everything." Anna sat stiffly on the sofa, hands clenched in her lap. Jacob sat beside her, silently offering his hand. She took it. "I was 17, she began. "Victor was already my father's favorite. He knew it. He used it. I noticed the ledgers weren't right. Missing money, fake entries. Victor always brushed it off." Marshal Evans nodded. "Go on." "Then Emily came along. She was sweet, trusted Victor. I warned her, but she believed he meant to marry her." Anna swallowed. "I found her crying. She didn't say much, but the bruises. The next morning, her family left town, just vanished." She paused. "I tried to tell my father, but Victor got there first. Told him I was jealous, that I lied, and the financial matters. Victor forged land deals, moved money into shell companies. I recognized the names. He used ones I'd helped file when I worked at the store." Marshal Evans scribbled notes. "And the charges he filed against you?" "All lies. I never stole anything. He created the story, bought the witnesses. That's how he works." The marshal finished writing, then looked up. "I believe you," Anna blinked. "We've already discredited 2 of his witnesses." Judge Whitaker confirmed that Emily died of internal injuries consistent with assault. Her family only just spoke up. Anna's breath shook. "Effective immediately," Marshal Evans said. "The charges against you are dropped? Victor Harlow is wanted for fraud, obstruction, and possibly more. We'll find him." Tears filled her eyes, not from fear, but from release. Jacob hadn't let go of her hand once. As the marshal left, Jacob remained by her side, quiet. I didn't think this day would come, Anna said softly. You earned it, he replied. You fought for it. I couldn't have done it alone. You didn't have to. She turned to him. You never asked me to explain. Never made me feel like I had to. He reached out and touched her cheek, brushing away a tear. I see you, Anna, not who they say you are. Just you? Outside, the wind stirred gently. But inside the house, the silence no longer felt heavy. Anna leaned back, still holding his hand. The past hadn't disappeared, but it no longer defined her. Not here. Not with him. The sun rose brighter the next morning, casting golden light over snow-dusted fields. Birds returned to their song, and the chill that had gripped the land for weeks began to ease. For the first time in a long while, Anna Harlow felt the air in her lungs belonged solely to her. The past hadn't vanished, but it no longer held her hostage. Jacob stood on the porch, coffee in hand, his injured arm bound beneath his coat. When Anna stepped outside, he turned to her with a soft smile. You slept, he said. For the first time in days, she replied. They stood in silence, watching the skies shift from amber to blue. Jacob set down his mug. I've been thinking about everything we've faced and what comes next. Anna held her breath. I built this ranch to last for a family, for a future I didn't think I'd have again. But then you came. He knelt, drawing a simple silver band from his pocket, braided, worn, honest. Anna Harlow, he said, will you marry me? Her heart surged. Once she had traded dignity for warmth. She had walked through snow and shame with only grit to keep her upright. Now a man knelt before her not to save her, but because he saw her strength. Yes, she whispered. Then firmer, yes, Jacob Thornton. He slipped the ring onto her finger and embraced her, not desperate, but grounding. Real. Later that week, a letter arrived. The handwriting was unmistakable, precise, formal, a bit cold. Anna held it for a long moment before breaking the seal. My dearest Anna, I write with more shame than a father should ever carry. Marshal Evans came to me last week. He showed me everything, Victor's lies, his crimes, and the pain I caused by believing the wrong child. I have no excuse. I should have listened. I should have looked beyond pride. I failed you. If you can forgive a foolish old man, I'd like to see you again. Not to bring you home, but to know the woman you've become. I will not interfere with your life. I only hope it's one of peace and love. Your father, Nathaniel Harlow. Tears blurred her vision as she read it again. Jacob found her in the parlor, the letter against her chest. He wrote, she said. He finally sees it. Jacob took the letter, read it quietly, then placed it gently beside Laura's photo on the mantel. You can go to him, he said softly. I don't want to leave. Not now, but maybe one day. When you do, he said, you won't go alone. Spring began to stretch across the land. Melting snow, green shoots breaking ground, birds nesting beneath the barn's eaves. The ranch came alive again. Anna and Jacob worked side by side, mending fences, planting vegetables, repainting the porch. They laughed more easily, made plans without fear. One evening, as dusk painted the sky in pink and lavender, they stood on the porch together. Anna leaned into Jacob, his arm warm around her shoulders. Do you ever wonder? She asked. What would have happened if I'd gone with Victor that night? Jacob thought for a moment. I think the snow still would have fallen and the wind still howled, but this porch would be empty and I'd still be waiting for something I didn't know I needed. Anna smiled. Eyes on the horizon? This place, it's more than shelter. It's home. They stood together as the last light faded beyond the hills. The storm had passed. And in its place hope, a new season, a new life together. And so, from the biting winds of winter to the soft promise of spring, Anna and Jacob found what many spend a lifetime searching for. A love built not on perfection but on truth. Not on escape but on home. In a land where storms never asked permission and the past never fully let go, they chose each other anyway, because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stay. If this story touched your heart, remember to subscribe to Wild West Echoes, where each week we deliver you enduring tales of romance, heartbreak, and salvation from the wild soul of the American frontier. Ring that notification bell so you never miss a story where courage conquered fear and love prevailed against all odds.